sure. And neither stack is giant. That's super cool. Hey y'all, it's Nat. I hope you're having a terrific day today. And for this video, we're going to be doing my first quarter book haul and unhaul. All right, before we get into anything bookish, make sure to hit like and subscribe down below and tell me in the comments what is the last book that you bought. All right, so I have to say, this is actually a really good haul/unhaul because the number of books is very comparable and neither stack is giant. Let's go ahead and dive into the books that I'm going to be adding to my own TBR, starting at the top with Strange Buildings by Uketsu. Josh and I think we ran by Barnes & Noble, and this was like the book club pick of the month, so it was only $5, or there was a deal or something. I remember it was only $5, and I've heard positive things about this author, so we figured why not? We were both a little intrigued. The little blurb that caught my attention was 11 strange buildings, each with its own twisted floor plan and eerie backstory, and a terrible secret that connects all of them. I did see that I think this is like set in the same universe as one of this author's prior works. I don't know if perhaps it's the same investigator or something, but the bookseller did tell us that technically we can read this as a standalone. So who knows, if we love it, we might end up buying more of this author's work. I've also found that apparently there's like actual floor plans mixed into this. That's super cool. Okay, very excited to read this now. These next two I actually stole from, well, I didn't steal. Somebody at my in-person romance book club brought some books they were wanting to unhaul, and I grabbed these up because I couldn't resist. First was Love at First Sighting by Mallory Marlowe. I read the prior book, and I don't know if it's necessarily a series, but I think it sure feels like it's supposed to be a series. But I read the prior book by this author, Love and Other Conspiracies, along with my book club on my Patreon, and really enjoyed it. That one was more around like cryptids. I think Bigfoot was really the big one. This one is more around aliens, obviously. And I believe it's a romance between this woman who is a social media influencer and accidentally ends up filming something that's a little suspicious flying in the sky. And then she starts to have feelings for this agent who is following her around, this like Men in Black character. That sounds so fun. I'm really hoping I will like this one and enjoy it just as much as I liked the first. I also grabbed Like in Love with You by Emma R. Albin. Honestly, I didn't know anything about this, but it was sapphic, and I always need more sapphic books on my TBR, so I grabbed it. So it looks like the romance is developing between these two women whose mothers were like arch nemesis. Sounds like a fun setup. I'm really hoping I'll enjoy this one. I'm pretty sure she had positive things to say about this, I think. One romance book I actually grabbed myself was We Swung by a little independent bookstore, and I can't resist. Anytime I go to one, I just feel like I have to buy something to support. So I ended up grabbing Left of Forever by Tara DeWitt. I've heard a lot of positive things about this author and this book in particular, but my friend Allie had the most glowing review and was screaming at me that I need to read it. So now it's on my TBR. Hopefully that means I will. Oh my God. It's about these teenagers who fell in love and had a kid, and then initially they had a great life but ended up divorcing, and now their kid is going off to college, and one of them convinces the other to try and give their relationship a shot again. Oh my God, this sounds so good. Okay, I definitely need to get to this here soon. And then last but certainly not least is my most recent Evernight book box. I love this book box. I ended up getting We Call Them Witches by India Rose Bauer. I don't know anything about this, honestly. I hadn't heard a single thing whenever I got it, but I do like this cover. I imagine it's witch related, which I'm into. And for the most part, Evernight tends to have some serious bangers. I will say the naked hardcover, though, has me very intrigued. And unfortunately, I can't tell you what this one is about, because if you did not see, this is actually going to be a book for my fantasy subreddit bingo board of 2026, and it'll be fulfilling the prompt of a cover pick, so I can't know anything else about it. I'm just hopeful that I'll love it so I can display this pretty book on my shelves. And shockingly, that is it. I can't believe that. Really small haul this time around, but I do have a few books I'm going to be getting rid of as well. First up is How to Catch a Queen by Alyssa Cole. I read this for a Raid My Shelves where I did like a TBR jar of my romance books, and while I did enjoy this, I don't really see myself rereading this one. We follow Shanti, who has basically dedicated her life to one day becoming a princess, and she ends up in an arranged marriage with Sanyu, and initially Sanyu really has no interest in her. It is purely on paper, but he is still reeling from his father's passing and then now having all of this responsibility and all of this power. However, Shanti has been training all of her life to become the perfect queen, and she actually has a lot of know-how that can really help Sanyu, and they end up kind of developing a bit of friendship. I don't know if you could even say friendship. They start working like partners and then eventually something more. As I said, this was cute and I am planning to continue the series. I just don't really see myself rereading it. And that's kind of the same thing with this next one, Love at First Spite by Anna E. Collins. The setup of this was very rom-com, where we were following this woman who was recently left by her fiance, and they had just recently purchased a house that was supposed to be their dream house. But her ex-fiance did not purchase this small lot of land next door. So she, her cousin / best friend, and then her new landlady all worked together to buy this property, and they're going to build a spite house on it and build everything and put everything into it that her fiance hates. The main character, Danny, is actually an interior designer, so she ends up grabbing a guy from work who is an architect to try and help build this house, and a little bit of a romance develops with him. This was cute. I wasn't like super invested in the romance though. Another one that like I had a good time, but I just don't really see myself rereading it. And actually, I guess that's kind of the main critique I have across the board for these. Next is Our Dear Miss H is on the Case by Violet Marsh. I read this one for my historical cozy mysteries, although this one I think is way more romance than cozy mystery. Again, enjoyed it, didn't really love it. We're following Georgina, who works as an archaeologist, but because of the time period, she has to work under her cousin's name. And after a very big find, her cousin ends up disappearing along with said find, and she ends up working with her cousin's best friend to try and find him, and a romance ensues. Again, cute, entertaining, not gonna reread. And then last of these actually kind of all go together. It's gonna be volume 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6 of the Red Lantern series by Peter Milligan and Charles Soule. I read the first 2 and half of the third, which I had to get from my library. And while I liked the initial setup of this series following this Lantern group that is really running on rage and how they're actually trying to figure out a way to perform as a Lantern group, I just felt like with the third book, it seemed as though every volume was the same events, rinse and repeated. But not only that, some of the character elements around the Red Lanterns were starting to either get a little grating or they weren't really giving me exactly what I wanted. So whenever the third volume was just not really hitting, I decided to give up on that volume as well as the series overall. So gonna go ahead and get rid of the rest of them. But on that note, that's officially it for today, y'all. So thank you so much for coming to my channel. I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit like and subscribe down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, let's do a thumbs up emoji in the comments, because I am, again, so proud of myself that this haul was very manageable. I have links to all my socials as well as a few ways you can support me down in the description. I come out with videos on Monday and Friday, but until then, I hope you continue to have a terrific day. Love you, bye!